write questions in the question section. I will be able to answer them after the presentation. We're going to have about 10-15 minutes Q&A session. So let's jump right into it. So what is Startup Montreal, who we are? Well, we were created in 2022 from the merge of two other organizations, Bonjour Startup Montreal and Montréal Inc. Our mission is to multiply the positive effect of the Montreal startup ecosystem and extend its outreach here and elsewhere. Our vision is that by 2030, we will be an attractive startup ecosystem that is recognized internationally for its performance, diversity, and definitely its impact. Please do not hesitate to write in the chat, write your name, say where you're from. It's always nice to see who we are talking to. And so, the two organizations together, well, we accumulate 26 years of experience in developing support programs to help entrepreneurs in manage collective and collaborative projects, including some grants projects like Bourse Plus, the Founders Pre-Accelerator Pre-Accelerator for Women, and the Conciergerie Service. And all those which benefits individual entrepreneurs and the entire innovation community. We initiate projects that basically contribute to current gaps that we might have in our current startup ecosystem. We are proud to be financially supported by the Canadian and Quebec government, as well as the City of Montreal and other key partners and donors. So welcome to Montreal. Let's talk about it. So let's start with 6 main reasons why Montreal is an amazing startup ecosystem. The first one is location. So we are a strategic entry gate for the European market because of our location on the eastern part of Canada, and also because of our historical cultural ties with France and special relationship and agreements we have with the French countries. We are also about 90 minutes flight away from New York, Boston, and Toronto. The second aspect is talent, and so Montreal is the Canadian university capital with 7 universities, more than 200,000 students, including more than 35,000 international students as well. We are currently in the top 5 cities in Canada and United States for tech job concentration. And we also first in Canada for university research funding with plus 1 billion yearly. We are home to the first office of the International Sustainability Standard Boards in North America and the International Center of Expertise for the Advancement of AI. And we also the most affordable metropolis in North America, and our operation cost for software development are lower than other major cities with a significant 29% cost advantage average. And finally, we have also 30% tax credit for R&D expenses. We're definitely open for business and to diversity in Montreal. 55% of the population is bilingual, speaking French and English, compared to 8% for Toronto and 7% in Vancouver. And about 20% of the population speak fluently 3 languages, which is 4% compared to 4% in Toronto and 3% in Vancouver. Let's talk about creativity. Well, creativity is definitely part of our DNA. We are the UNESCO City of Design. We also own the home city to the Cirque du Soleil and Moment Factory. We have great world-renowned events such as CIDO Montreal, Startup Fest, and more than 100 festivals per year in a no-COVID time, in no COVID era. We also the first city in Canada and a world leader in digital creativity. And finally, we are top 5 video game development hubs in the world. And in terms of quality of life, Montrealers still have a great purchasing powers compared to other major cities in Canada. Affordable houses is still a reality here. The food scene is crazy, and we have 4 distinct seasons to enjoy nature. We also have more than 750 miles of cycling path in the city. Montreal is a very vibrant ecosystem. We have about 1,300 active startups right now. We have more than 40 support programs, more than 20 VC firms, and roughly 1,300 events per year, again in a no COVID era, but we're getting back on track. In 2021 only, we had more than 25, we had more than 25 new VC funds, mostly supporting the growth phase and diversity and inclusion. We also had 5 new academic talent bridges initiatives. We also currently have the largest network of angel investors in Canada called Ange Québec. And we have some of the most active and diverse VC firms in Canada. For example, Real Venture, Panache Venture, Innové Capital, Investissement Québec. We really have a lot of resources to help startup create and grow their startups in the metropole. Our strongest fields right now are AI and deep tech, life sciences, and fintech. We have 600 researchers and 1,400 university students in current AI program. We also have the Applied AI Institute on top of the other resources that I mentioned earlier. In terms of and about life science, well, Montreal is well known for its collaborative culture between the government, the research centers, and industries. In 2021 only, we had 590 million total VC investments for life science in Montreal and north and south shore of Montreal. To give you an idea, this represents 30% of all VC investments for Montreal and the surrounding area in 2021. We have 16 research centers and 14 world-class university research chairs in health technology. And we also have 11 private capital firms that support life sciences. In terms of fintech, well, we're in second position after Toronto in Canada. We also have a rare high growth percentage. According to the new recent global ranking of Startup Genomes, we went from the 95th position to the 45th position, which is, again, a really rare growth percentage for this industry. We also first in Canada and third in North America for green finance, according to the Global Green Finance Index 2021. And what we realize is that Montreal's ambition to become a global leader in ethical artificial intelligence and fintech practices attracts new qualified talent every year. So kind of positioning ourselves as the one who creates new standards, new global standards for those fields. Our emerging activity sectors are currently mobility, clean tech, and creativity. And in terms of social impact, I would say it became more of a transversal field. So basically, social and environmental impact will become a key element regardless of your industry sector. So let's talk a little bit about the evolution of the Montreal startup ecosystem. So our main focus at the beginning, roughly in 2012, our main focus was really back in the days was about activating our ecosystem and really create a strong startup community. We had a lot of grassroots events. We also started having co-working spaces, and so people were not stuck in restaurants or cafes to develop their ideas. And really, we wanted to create a strong community. We also worked on increasing the number of startups in our ecosystem and having a proper volume of startups, and also offer a range of services, activities, and funding to support startups. Really trying to have the best offers for startups that could cover a range spectrum from a really early stage to incubator and accelerator phase. We also wanted a better understanding of startups and the role of this ecosystem within governments. We worked a lot with governments to give a place for startups and make them understand the specific realities of startups compared to medium-sized business, for example. Our first major exits and unicorns were Lightspeed, Hopper, Sense, and Nuvei. Might have heard about them. But since 2019, we entered the second phase of the ecosystem life cycle called globalization. And our main focus was really to increase our global connectedness with founders and top ecosystem around the world. It was also to identify our key success factors and reduce potential gaps that we were in our current offers for startups. In terms of global connectedness, we increased international programs and collaboration to help startups go outside of Montreal and outside of Quebec, outside of Canada. We participate more and more to international events such as the Web Summit, VivaTech, and the Collision conferences. And we have amazing new growth and hyper-growth programs and resources that appeared in our ecosystem in the last 2 years. We also were lucky to attract international key players. There were some really great partnerships, for example, between Mila and AstraZeneca, Mila and AI Sweden. I mentioned a bit earlier, but we are the first office of the International Sustainability Standard Board. We also had some VC firm that decided to come in Montreal and partner up with some of our ecosystem key players, such as HEC Montréal. We also had interesting change in terms of local connectedness. So we really worked in the last couple of years to solidify and complete our investment change, funding change, in funding opportunities for startups from pre-seeds to growth and hyper-growth. As mentioned, we had more than 25 new VC funds in 2021 only. We also gained interest from big corporation, and we're currently working on making those connections more interesting, more interesting, but also making sure that those connection leads to real opportunities for startups. So less blah blah, more actions and tangible opportunities for startups. We also worked on getting more governmental supports. We had an amazing supports since the beginning of the pandemic. We had a lot of new funding opportunities, new help to support during the pandemic, but we also had a lot of new programs and a lot of new strategies. The province of Quebec, they released a lot of new strategies to really support and making an emphasis on the reality of startups. And again, we worked a lot on increasing our cross-collaborative initiatives between key players in Montreal, but also outside Montreal in the region and the province of Quebec. That was one of our gap in our ecosystem in the last couple of years, and so we've seen a huge improvement. We've seen huge improvement about it in the last couple of months, and I would say the last couple of years. And of course, we were fortunate enough to work and attract more qualified talent in Montreal. I think talent, it's always an issue in all startup ecosystem. And so that's never gonna be enough. So we keep working on that, of course. And so right now, our ecosystem currently works in its own identity and its own key performance indicator. But definitely, the Startup Montreal ecosystem is working all together to become a more performant ecosystem. By performance, we talk about accessibility to new talent, new qualified talent, new diverse talent, and also more funding network opportunities, definitely. Um, oh, I see a bit of French there. I apologize. But we work also more and more on being more and more collaborative within ecosystem key players, work less as an individual, but more as a whole. And we definitely are looking to be more diverse and inclusive. Um, as I mentioned a bit earlier, we want to conciliate our economic impact with our social and environmental impact. It's something that's very important for us, and it's going to take a big place in our ecosystem in the following years. We're going to see social and environmental impact as being key selection criteria for support programs, as well as grants and other type of opportunities. And finally, we want to be an ecosystem that's generating growth and is globally connected. And so those are our goals for the startup ecosystem. I didn't mention it, but I can go back a couple of slides. Let me see if I can find it. Anyway, in terms of local connectedness, ecosystem key players, we meet monthly to talk about what's new, what's missing, and how can we can help each other. And so that's a very nice community, and it's growing stronger and stronger from year to year. So I'll leave you the contact information of my colleague, Nawel, who will be able to answer most of your question about today's presentation. But again, I'm here for another 10, 15 minutes if needed to answer your question that you have right now for me. Maybe some things that I didn't address in my current presentation. Thank you. So let's see. If you have any question, you can type them in the chat. Feel free to write something. Did you find something surprising about our ecosystem? Something you've learned about our ecosystem as well? You can also raise your hand if you wish to come on stage with me and address a question directly. Well, if there's no question, I wish everybody a great evening and a great Montreal Connect event. Thank you for listening to me. And again, feel free to contact my colleague if you have any question or you wish to go further into the discussion. It was my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you. Have a great day.